So, as you know, everybody, this is the monthly installment of the Nonprofit Executive Leadership Roundtable. I'm Tommy DiMisa, the nonprofit sector connector guy. I run a weekly podcast, Philanthropy in Focus. Check it out on talkradio.nyc and also Vanguard Insurance Agency. We've been doing this meeting for about 2.5 years. Christine Deska and I, Christine of Nonprofit Sector Strategies. And each month we bring in thought leadership. And this is a community. And this is really about tell Christine and I what you want to see. Tell us the specialists and the solution providers and the thought leaders that you want us to bring. Tell us the topics, and Christine and I will go out to the community and find these people and bring these people into the fold. And I see last month's speaker here, Carmen. So excited to see you here. Hey, Carmen. So we're certainly, the community continues to grow and grow. And what we will do is we're going to go, let's do 45 seconds, like really. I'm going to skip over Amy and Eileen because I'm going to introduce you in a bit. So let's go Carmen and then Angela.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. And so thank you again for having me as your guest. I am the boss lady of Network 9, and I am obsessed with your success. So we have a design agency that builds websites, presentations, brochures, does copywriting, all of that kind of material that helps people learn how and why they should, in your case, donate to you, or in business, why they should buy from you. Instead of selling, we teach people.
Perfect. Thank you, Carmen. So Angela and then Deacon John Dibiazzi.
This is perfect. So once you've done your fabulous creative work with Carmen, I'll get it out to people. I do the digital part, I do the media part. And one of the things that I'm trying to work with the nonprofit boards, the National Institute and the Laurel Hill Association that I'm on, is kill the shotgun approach, because people have opportunities in not-for-profits flying in all the time and everybody goes, oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. I like to bring a strategy and a focus so that people don't waste their precious resources.
Perfect. Thank you, Angela. John and then Marilyn, please.
John Dibiazzi. I tell people I'm retired but available. I have 40 years in healthcare, the last 20 of which was spent in the DD field, my favorite field. I sit on the board of Options for Community Living, and that's really relatively new. And I also teach healthcare administration at Iona College.
Thank you, John. Marilyn and then Adele.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Marilyn Tickton with Court Furniture. We're a Berkshire Hathaway company, and we provide solutions to nonprofits and help with your housing needs. We do office and residential furniture, but more important, we give back, and we want to be a partner to create a relationship with the nonprofit on their housing needs. I'll put my information in the chat, and thank you again.
Thank you, Marilyn. Love having you here. Adele and then Jerry Wade.
Good morning, everyone. Adele Viola. I'm involved with a charitable wine company that adds fundraising solutions for nonprofit organizations. Looking to up my game and potentially become a board member, kind of looking around and seeing what's out there. I help any 501c3 raise money for their organization. I know times are tough right now, so I'm loving what I'm doing.
Very cool. Super exciting. And Adele and I have been talking about that collaboratively. So glad to have you here, Adele. Jerry and then Terry.
Good morning, everyone. Jerry Wade with On Point Strategic Planning. I'm one of those individuals that do both worlds. So the nonprofit, I'm on the board of directors for Junior Achievement in New Jersey, and recently became the vice president of the board for SASE support. Up in New Jersey, my God, Long Island. I'm losing my mind right here. Can't speak. And Tommy knows that's not me. Specialized Autism Support and Information. We're a brand new launch, ribbon cutting coming up here soon. What I do is I'm a financial planner. So I help these not-for-profit organizations and the individuals that they serve with their financial future, whether it be through corporate education to help the employees better themselves, or just taking it through the families and getting them through the steps. So while they focus on their child, I help them, I take care of focusing on their finances.
And you have a specific focus area, don't you, Jerry?
My son's on the autism spectrum, so I work with that. And also if it's in the veterans as well too, basically I served in the Air Force. So military is also a soft spot in my heart too as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Jerry. So Terry Magro and then Melissa Greenberger, please.
Morning, everybody. Terry Magro. I'm the Vice President and co-founder of the Michael Magro Foundation based on Long Island, and we're dedicated to the support of children with cancer and other pediatric illnesses, helping them with helping the families with their day-to-day expenses, offsetting medical and utility bills, parking, things of that nature. So that's our mission. We do that through fundraising, of course, and grant writing. And I just want to give a shout out to Carmen, because we had a one-to-one after the meeting last time, and she's very helpful. We're trying to redesign a couple of things on the homepage of the website. So thank you.
Oh man, pause. That makes me so happy. Thank you, Terry. Thanks for the share. That's what this is all about. Right on. Way to add value, everybody. Melissa Greenberger and then Michelle Akata, please.
Greenberger, can you hear me? Yes.
We can.
I'm a senior staff attorney now at Pro Bono Partnership. We are a nonprofit organization that provides free legal help to other nonprofits, 501c3s. I cover Long Island, so at Montauk Easton all the way to Nassau, Queens border. And I like to say that I do what I do so that you can focus on your mission and not worry about all the legal headaches in your world. So also, Adele, I heard you say you're interested in board membership. So we should definitely talk, because I work with so many different nonprofits that I'd love to hear about your interest and see if one of my clients might be interested.
Thank you, Melissa. And I think congratulations is in order. Did you just recently get promoted over there?
I did get that title. Yes, thank you.
Right on. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it for all your hard work. Who has worked with Pro Bono in the room?
A lot of people in the
A
room.
lot of hands. Love it. Awesome. That's so
They're
cool.
the best.
Love that. So good. So good. Michelle and then Amy Fleischer, please.
Hi, I'm Michelle Akata. I work in development for SEO Family of Services. We are one of the, if not the largest human services nonprofit in all of New York State. We serve 60,000 New Yorkers, vulnerable New Yorkers, although we don't really like using that word anymore. But so anything from foster care, people experiencing homelessness and food insecurity, help with work, people with disabilities, women who have been through trauma, rehab. We literally take care of everybody. So, SEO Family of Services.
Thank you, Michelle. Sorry, I was trying to get another guest in the room. They're having trouble. So Amy Fleischer and then Jen Capazza, please.
My name is Amy Fleischer. I am the Development Officer at Long Island Select Healthcare, or LISH. We are a federally qualified health center, which means we treat the underserved, we turn nobody away, 21 specialties, specializing in the IDD population. Currently, we are administering, the biggest thing is we're administering COVID vaccines. We get them when we get them. We don't know when we're getting them or how many, but we're really trying to fulfill the IDD community and make sure everyone is vaccinated. I am running a clinic on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. I have 100 or so vaccines. If you specifically know of the IDD community, I'm dealing with SEO, I'm dealing with, DDI and everybody directly. But if there's someone other than the main agencies who have IDD clients or patients or family members that need a vaccine, and can come to Central Islip. I'm going to put my email in the chat. They are limited this time, but we are rolling, so we're having a lot. But right now I'm scheduling about 300 over the next few days. So that's the most important thing that I need to say.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for that. That is super important. Do me a favor, if you haven't done so, can you just put that in the chat box, put your information, because we have a method to this meeting, but I want to stop when things are super important like that and make sure that info is out there. We certainly have a lot of organizations that are serving that space. As I told you, it's where my heart is too. So
yeah, and of course we're in, we've done a lot of the houses. We've done 2,000 vaccines already, which is incredible for a little organization that we are. But there are people that aren't part of those organizations or not in those houses that have family members or things like that that are having a hard time. And that's the population that's close to our heart. Caregivers for that population that are living in the same house. That just opened up, non-congregate settings just opened up on the 15th. So if there are people that are living, IDD living at home that still need their vaccines, reach out to me.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. So just put your contact info in there, folks. It'll be in the chat box and you can grab that. So Jen and then Beth, please.
Good morning. Oh, excuse me. Good morning, everyone. Jen Capazza, I'm the Director of Development for Ally Against Domestic Violence, which provides services as it indicates. I will tell you that since the beginning of COVID, we are here. We are available 24 hours, 7 days a week. We're working virtually, including with the courts and law enforcement. Our hotline number and everything can be found on our website, which is liadv.org. Basically, if you put in anything related to Long Island domestic violence, we come right up and you'll see our logo. And it's Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. Here is February. And this evening on our Facebook page, we have a dancers showcase where teen and college age dancers are providing a themed show to shine a light on teen dating, domestic violence, and sexual assault. And it's breathtaking. And I highly, highly recommend you check it out either this evening or obviously it'll be available on the Facebook page after tonight. So thank you so much. It's so great to see everyone.
Always great to have you here, Jen. Thank you. Beth and then Milda.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy that there's so many familiar faces and friends here. Adele, you should let people know if your board membership comes with wine. That might be good for some people. Anyway, my organization is Career Day Inc. I'm proud to say that there are several people here on my board, and thank you, Jen, and enrolled to speak, Tommy. I don't want to leave anybody out, and I have to say Melissa, Matt, Sammy, the gang. And so this is a wonderful group. Thank you so much, Tommy. We bring career choice awareness to schools. High school and now middle school. We are currently enrolling speakers for April 7th at Hicksville High School, 1,700 kids. Oh my God, we need a lot of people. And North Babylon Middle School, Robert Moses Middle School for 8th graders, which is the first time we're going into a middle school, but also very, very needed for kids. 60% Black and Hispanic at that school, and really need to understand that there's bright futures ahead for every opportunity, every academic level. I'm going to put my calendar and my email in the chat. I love to talk to anybody about the program. I know, Michelle, we said we're going to follow up, and yeah, great to see you all. And that's my 45 seconds. Thanks so much. Career Day Inc. Yay.
Thanks, Beth. Milda and then Tammy.
Hi, good morning. My name is Milda DeVoe, and I founded and run Pen Parentis. It is an arts nonprofit, so I'm different. But it does help people during COVID because we provide resources to writers who need creative energy. We try to help them stay on creative track after they start a family. So anybody who's got kids right now knows that they're home all the time. So imagine if you're trying to write a novel. So that's what we do. We have accountability groups, we have salons. The salons are free, they're open to the public, they're really lovely, and you're all invited. So the next one is on March 9th, and we present really quite famous groups of authors, and they just talk about how they balance their life and their creativity and their kids and how they got their stuff done. We present memoirists, novelists, and poetry. This just in random rotation with little themes. The theme this month is identity. Sorry, too early in the morning, Tommy. You should
I had a 7 o'clock before this, man. That's like
because you are a superhero. The rest of us use coffee to move. Anyway, thanks for listening. It's penparentis.org if you're interested.
And Tammy, before you go, one quick pause. You know, Milda had connected with us years and years ago when we did these roundtables in New York City. So it's just so great to see you back in the fold here. And I want to, when I'm hearing you speak, I'm thinking about New York City. So the New York City Imagine Awards applications are out right now. So if you serve New York City, you have locations in New York City, et cetera, nycimagineawards.com. I sit on the committee for the Imagine Awards. If you don't know what the Imagine Awards are, talk to me later on. And I can fill you in, but it's certainly something that people need to get involved with. So we'll go
What's
to
the due date for that?
and it's like 60 days from now. It's in May sometime. I'll get the answer for you while you introduce yourself. Tammy and then Jennifer Lowe.
So good morning. My name's Tammy Severino. Like Beth said, I see a lot of familiar faces, so I'm really pleased about that. And to quote Jerry, I wear also a few hats. I serve on a few of the boards that are on this screen right now. I work with Terry, with Beth, on boards and advisory boards. My business is RPC Development. I work with nonprofits and I also work with small businesses, but I do on the nonprofit side, all their development work and a lot of the writing. So whether that's grants or web content or speeches, anything that's your outward facing voice, but particularly in the grant area, because that, unlike any other kind of writing, is a very, very different animal. And then I'm wearing yet one more hat right now. I served on the board of Girl Scouts of Suffolk County for many years, and the CEO had retired. I am now serving as the interim CEO and president of Girl Scouts of Suffolk County. So I'm toggling 2 full-time, and therefore this is always full. But Milda, I would love to speak with you because I'm personally very interested, arts, writing, all of that. I was in the middle of writing a book and that's now on the back burner. But it will make it back to the front burner, just not this week. So thank you. I'm Tammy Severino.
I just, what do they say? You need something done, give it to a busy person, right? So I need a couple things done, Tammy. I'm going to send them your way. All right. So Jennifer, and then people somehow moved around the table. So Jennifer and then Linda Berman, please.
Thank you. So Tammy Severino, Sean Hurst sings your praises.
Oh, I love her. She's fantastic.
Yeah. Among other people who I think we share in common in any event. So I'm Jennifer Lowe. I'm currently not affiliated with an organization. My career in the nonprofit sector has spanned many different experiences, but the passion within me is really around issues of education and equity and diversity and inclusion and the health and well-being of children and strengthening our communities. I serve on the board as vice chair of Mondays at Racine Cancer Care Foundation. And since I have a little extra time on my hands right now, I'm working with my congregation to raise funds for our food pantry. So thank you.
That's great. Are you here on Long Island?
I am. Lifelong, 4 generations.
Very cool. Very cool. I'd love to connect with you on that whole on the soup kitchen, or I think you said the pantry.
Yeah.
I had an experience with my 8-year-old on Saturday morning. I had a case of celery. That's another story, but I had a case of celery and I dropped the case of celery off at the food pantry, and my Gabriella said, she goes, "Daddy, what else do they need?" And she's 8. And so the woman said, "Well, I need rice and pasta." So Gabrielle says, "Daddy, can we go shopping?" And she yeah, I know, Jen, I'm gonna get emotional. We go to the store and then we drop it off, and then she goes, "Daddy, that made me feel so good." And I was like, that's what you guys do. So that's why I hang out with nonprofit people. And I probably have to turn off my camera for a second. So Linda Berman, take it away, and then Katie McGowan.
That's all right, Tommy. We won't judge you. You can judge.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're among friends. You can
All
can
right.
cry.
Yeah, I know, but I'm recording this. It's going to the interweb. This everybody's gonna know.
And that is what it's all about, is really teaching others how to care and to give. And that's a great example of really teaching the kids. That's great. Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Berman. I'm the Development and Engagement Manager for the Corporate Source. We're a nonprofit organization based in Garden City. And we create employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities and provide services leading to their independence and fulfillment throughout New York City, Long Island, and the Caribbean. And I am on today because I can't wait to hear my friends Amy and Eileen from the magical book Fairies on today's program. And Tammy, many years ago, I was a field director for Girl Scouts of Suffolk County. I worked very closely with Yvonne Grant, and I would love to talk to you sometime about Girl Scouts and how we might work together.
Absolutely.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much. Really looking forward to this program, Tommy.
Thank you, Linda.
Amy and Eileen.
Thank you, Linda. So Linda was one of our speakers. I don't know, maybe, well, pandemic was a year, so maybe 2 years ago, with Lauren Marzo. So that was certainly a lot of fun. So look, that's what it is. If you have some topics that you really or specialize in, step up. Let's bring you to the front of the room.
Yeah, Tommy, could I just use a quick second?
You can,
just
go ahead.
reminded me that on March 16th, Lauren Marzu from the Viscardi Center was amazing. We presented on corporate social responsibility here. And I'll be a panelist next month, March 16th, with Michael Katakis from Spirit of Huntington Art Center. And we'll for another group, if anyone's interested.
Yeah, what's the topic, Linda?
It's social enterprise,
Oh
and that's basically doing good while doing well. How to help companies make social impact part of their mission.
Do you have that? Do you have that information that you can share in the chat? Is there a link or anything?
You know what? I'll get it, and I'll put it into the chat before the end of this program.
Please,
Yeah.
please do.
And that's through Serini Nonprofit Connection, another great group.
Got it. Of course. Yeah. So that's my cousin Linda's birthday, March 16th. So that's a special day.
Oh, that's a good day to remember then.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's go to, you guys all moved around. So thank you. I wanted some extra fun here. So I appreciate you guys moving. Katie McGowan and then Matt Thompson.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm Katie McGowan. I'm the Executive Director and Founder of Horseability. We're located in Old Westbury on the campus of SUNY Old Westbury. We utilize horses as a modality and tool for treatment for PTOT speech therapy, as well as education and emotional therapy. We work with people, young adults, young children, and adults with special needs. And we have so many different vast programs that we offer, whether it be educational, recreational, or therapeutic. And because of the pandemic, which I hope everybody's safe and well, we have pivoted to also expand our psychotherapy department, and we're helping Northwell Health and their frontline workers, which is pretty awesome. So there's so much that goes on here that each and every one of you, every square I could be touching base with on something. And one day, Tommy, I would love to have, everybody come to the farm.
Listen, that's happening. I'm going to just jump on. I mean, as soon as we can get that. I saw something on Facebook last night. The horses were rolling around in the snow. Is it? Yeah. Bear was like rolling around, and I was like, "Oh my god, I got to get out there!" But yes, Katie, we have that room back there. I know exactly where we could do this meeting. Just let's do it.
It'd be super.
Yeah.
And Amy and Eileen, I'm excited to see both of you. And I do have to leave early because I have another meeting, but I'm thrilled to be here as long as I can be. Thanks, Tom.
Very cool. Here comes my partner in crime on this particular project. We'll get her in the room. So Matt Thompson and then Rebecca Gibson, please.
Matt Thompson, let's see. I'm the board chair for the American Red Cross in Long Island. I sit on the executive committee for the American Red Cross in New York City. I joined Career Day. I'm on the capital campaign for Girls Inc. I'm on the advisory board for TSI New York, the Bayside Business Association, Nonprofit Resource Hub, and then the Imagine Awards. And so that's my philanthropic endeavors. I feel like that's all I do. And in my spare time, I work at Morgan Stanley, providing full service solutions to nonprofit organizations, and have taken on planned giving programs recently. So.
That's great, Matt. Thank you. Thanks for so much that you do for the sector. Really appreciate you and your friendship. Rebecca Gibson, I think I said Rebecca was going next, so Rebecca and then Ed Probst, please.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Gibson. I'm with an organization called I Empathize, and we are a national organization, but I am in New York City and Queens, and I came to this group through Christine. And I Empathize is just an incredible organization. They work in this anti-trafficking arena, and they are very child-centered and prevention focused. So we have youth prevention training, and we also provide sector-based training. So any sector that intersects with at-risk youth and children. So we have training, for example, Truckers Against Trafficking. We've created all their training. That's a training that's, throughout the US. Also, the youth prevention is in schools. Social workers use it, foster families use it, guidance counselors, classrooms, after school programs, so many things. So I also heard so many points of intersection with many of you that were remarking about what your organizations do. So definitely would love to connect with you. I'm a board member. my other, the staff and board members are all across the US, in Florida, in California, in Colorado. So it's a little early for some of them right now, but we did have a few of them join us last month, and it
Hey,
was
we're here.
wonderful to be a part.
Yeah, you had some of your crew here last month. So glad to have you back, Rebecca. Tell your friends.
Thank you.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends. So really quick, Ed, before you jump in, Ed Probst, Ian sent me a note here. Oh, he sent it to everybody, but he's the executive director of Long Island Housing Services, and he has a child sleeping at home. So we all know how that works. So let's go Ed Probst, and then now that I have people on two different screens, I may have to ask you to Ed Probst, and then my friend sneaked in. I'm so glad you're here, Taina Sanin.
Good morning, everyone. Great to see so many familiar faces and so many new faces as well. It's really exciting. Tommy, you and Christina are doing an incredible job with this. Ed Probst with the Vanguard Agency. I'm founding partner. We provide employee benefit strategies to the nonprofit sector. I also sit on the board at Cerebral Palsy of Nassau County and on advisory committees at TSINY and Rise Life Services. I'm also a founding member of the Nonprofit Resource Hub and the president of the Bayside Business Association. And I'll just quickly mention on that note, if any of your organizations touch Queens and Bayside and you want to discuss additional exposure, we are offering complimentary memberships to members through March of 2022. So type your name in the chat, we'll reach out to you. Great to see everyone. Have a great day.
Ed, if I could ask you to do double duty, would you give us a minute or 30 seconds or so on the Nonprofit Resource Hub?
Yeah, sure. So the Nonprofit Resource Hub is something that was started just about 2 years ago. The 5 founding partners are our agency, David Goldstein and Sir Tillman Ballin, Ken Serini and Serini Associates, Frank and Frank Orzo and Christine Deska at Nonprofit. They're one in a kind. They're one and the same anyway now, right? Aren't they? At Nonprofit Sector Strategies, and our president is Danette O'Connell from Triumph Outsource Consulting. We have 2 programs. Everything we do is to provide resources and education back to the nonprofit sector in any way we can through our, we've designed an incredible new website. We have webinars and educational seminars every month. We have newsletters that go out, and we have basically 2 programs I'll mention quickly. One is for our nonprofit members, which doesn't cost anybody to be a nonprofit member. We get you set up on our website. You can participate in all of our events. And then our second program is our associate member program, which is for businesses that serve the nonprofit sector or nonprofits that provide a particular service that want to join. And all the dues it's industry specific, and all the dues we collect go into the organization to provide resources to the nonprofit sector. And on that note, I'll just mention that the Nonprofit Resource Hub is actually a nonprofit. So there is no profit being taken. It's all going back to the nonprofit sector. If you haven't heard about it yet, reach out to Tommy or I or Christine, and we'll definitely get you set up and get you the information you need.
Thank you, Ed. It's in the DNA of our firm, folks. That's what it is. We're all about this sector. So thanks, Ed, for pointing all that out. So I think I've got everybody except my friend Taina's here, and she was in between meetings, so I'm so glad she's able to get here. I mentioned she's coming on the program tomorrow. That's Philanthropy in Focus. So Taina is the director of programs at Nonprofit New York. Taina, you want to come off mute? Here we go. I see you came off mute. Introduce yourself if you could.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. Everything that Tommy said about me is true. I work for Nonprofit New York. We are a 35-year-old organization that does programming around education, resources, and advocacy work for the nonprofit sector in the metropolitan area of New York, right? So we work with nonprofits, particularly 501c3s in the 5 boroughs, Long Island, and Westchester. And so we offer things, in particular, professional development for our members. We are a membership organization, so we do collect dues, but we also have, but our advocacy and policy work is done for the entire sector. You can't you can't really do policy work for just a subsection of a group of organizations, right? And so that is sector-wide work that we do. We have resources, and we also have a cost savings program. So one of the big things that we offer nonprofits is insurance, right? So that is liability insurance, that is, healthcare, and that is retirement. Those are the three big cost savings programs that we have for our members. And we are constantly in the works of developing new programming for folks based off of the needs that people are asking. Let me know if you have any questions about what it is that we do, who we are. Again, we've been around for a while. So I am here to answer any questions. Again, it's Nonprofit New York. I'm also part of an organization called Circle of Change, which is a BIPOC community for nonprofit and philanthropic professionals, which is doing really outstanding work of bringing the Black and POC community together. So that's really interesting to me and really fascinating. I just joined that. And, I'm looking to find more friends in the nonprofit sector, network a little bit more, really kind of expand my network. So I've latched on to Tommy, and I am never letting him go.
Well, fair. Well, I'm not going to let you go either. I can't quit you, Taina. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm putting in the chat. Taina's coming on the program tomorrow on the podcast. If you want to listen to it, you go to talkradio.nyc or you go to the Facebook page for that. I'm not going to selfishly promote that. Selfishly promote it. But it's not about me. It's about these organizations where I think if you haven't been introduced yet, I think I got everybody, but people moved around my screen. Just say, hey, Tommy D, you didn't introduce me yet. I know Amy and Eileen. I know I didn't introduce you guys yet, or Christine. But other than that, I think I got everybody. We're going to move to the next part of the program. I'm glad you're all here. This is a special part of my month. So let me go into what I want to introduce. So I told you up front, God, Christine's got to be close to 3 years we've been doing this, I think. I mean, I try to do the math, and you have that whole lost year of 2020. I mean, I'm going on a year being in my attic. So it's been like it's gotta be, what do you think, like 3 years?
Absolutely no clue. Somebody else will have to remind us.
All right, forget it. We'll figure it out. I'll look back. I'll look at my phone.
Two babies in that time frame.
Well, okay, so there you go. So that's some sort of frame of reference that we can utilize. Yeah, I hear that. So I'm going to read my buddy's bio. Christine Deska is a co-founder of Nonprofit Sector Strategies, which is a public benefit corporation dedicated to helping nonprofits maximize mission impact. NSS provides strategic planning and board management services to small and medium-sized nonprofits, and they also have created Bell's Board, which is a board management software platform and mobile app that helps nonprofit boards be more efficient. I've had in the opportunity the last couple of weeks to see 2 demos of the product. So if you haven't seen it, reach out. And also we'll be doing more of these demo meetings. So let's talk about, I can tell you about that and when that's coming up so you can see Christine explain what this product is all about. I'm selfishly is a word I want to use, promoting their brand for them. Christine brings more than a decade of in-depth experience working in and with nonprofit organizations, foundations, and the government. She was at the Columbus Citizens Foundation as the director of programs from 2014 to 2016. And prior to that, she was at AARP from 2006 to 2014, where she led initiatives around older adult hunger, financial security, and volunteer management. And she also served as the media spokesman for AARP at the time. Christine created several scalable models at AARP, including a successful member discount and engagement model. So she has great insight there. And she currently sits on the board of Hunger Solutions of New York, which is a nonprofit dedicated to the alleviation of hunger throughout New York State. Christine, I don't want to work with anybody on this project but you, so I appreciate you being my partner on this. Just come off, say hello real quick, and let's give her a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just excited to talk to my friends Amy and Eileen.
Absolutely.
I don't want to waste any more words.
No, all right. So I'm going to say some more words and then I'll get out of the way. So I'm going to introduce our 2 guests on the program. Every month we bring somebody to speak about something that is specific and that they can really drive home for our audience. So Amy Zaslansky is the founder of the Book Fairies, a nonprofit organization that provides books to people in need across metropolitan New York. Since its inception in 2012, the Book Fairies has donated more than 2 million books to underserved schools and nonprofit organizations, including hospitals, homeless shelters, soup kitchens, and correctional facilities. Amy is a Maryland native, and she graduated from Emory University with her BA in psychology and earned her MS in occupational therapy from Temple University. Her earlier careers included being an occupational therapist and operating an e-commerce site. She resides on Long Island with her husband, 3 children, and a menagerie of pets. Oh, that's an interesting story. We got to talk about that. And Eileen is a leader with proven experience in business management, program administration, fund development, and volunteer engagement. She brings many years of professional experience in both corporate and the nonprofit sector. Prior to becoming the executive director of the Book Fairies, Eileen was a co-founder and executive director of PALS, Patient Airlift Services. In addition, she has been volunteering her time and talents to a number of nonprofits for over 20 years, including serving on the board of the Massapequa Community Fund, which is an organization that has provided $1.9 million in direct local support since 2001. Amy, Eileen, Christine, this is your show. Take it away, please.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Tommy, and welcome, Amy and Eileen. And I apologize to everyone if my audio is strange or if my angle is weird. It's one of those Zoom days where today it's the laptop acting up. So fingers crossed that mobile will do the job. Amy and Eileen, welcome.
Thank you for having us. Excited to be here. I've been to most of your roundtables.
Amy was at, I think, the roundtable, our very first one, when we had about 5 people around a small conference room table, whenever that was. No one knows when it was now, but here we are years later. So welcome. And I think to everyone who's listening who isn't as familiar with the Book Fairies, maybe all of you are by now, because the organization tends to come up and there's a reason for that. And so I guess I'll just preface this by saying the reason why we really wanted Amy and Eileen to speak to all of you today is because there's so much that the Book Fairies has been doing that we think that all of us can learn from, whether you're a larger organization or a smaller organization. So I thought we would start, Amy, I just want to ask you to kind of tell us the story of the Book Fairies from your perspective, and how did you end up founding the organization?
Sure. So the Book Fairies, it just runs on a very simple model. People have books in their house that they don't need anymore, and we take those books and give them to people who need them across Long Island and the 5 boroughs. I started the nonprofit probably a lot of ways that a lot of people start theirs. They have no idea what they're getting themselves into. They just happen to do a project and it grows and takes off from there. So my situation was that I had recently sold a small business. I am a very active person, and sitting at home was not working out very well for me. So while I was looking for my next endeavor, and I really had no experience in the nonprofit world, but while I was looking for my next endeavor, I found out about a school in Hempstead. They were trying to raise money to send books home with their kids over the summer. Everybody has books in their house. I have 3 young children, or had at that point. And it was a real simple project for me to just collect books from all of my friends throughout the school district of Belmore and give them to the people in Hempstead. It worked beautifully, almost too beautifully, in that I ran the collection through my school district. We had 3,000 books that came in, and the school took about 200. And now I have 2,800, whatever it was, in my garage. My husband's looking at me. My kids are looking at me. They're climbing over books to get to their bikes in the garage. And my husband said, what are you going to do with this? And I said, this was a one-time project. I'm done. I'm still looking for my next job, my next activity. And that's kind of how the story started. When Eileen and I were talking about this, it sparks an old memory, which I hadn't thought about in a long time, is that when I actually did decide to make a very small go of this, which was just do it again and ask another district to do the books, I went to a friend and I said, I think I may have something here. And I always have ideas, but I really think that this is something. Do you want to do this with me? Do you want to get involved with doing some type of book charity? And she was 100% in, absolutely. So whereas I wanted to just go and I wanted to just jump into the charity, my friend said, let's stop, let's sit down, let's form a plan, let's form a strategy, let's talk things out. This is going to take months to organize. And I'm thinking, she's crazy, she's off her rocker, I want no part of this. I have a great idea and I'm going to run with it. And so I did. And I did this on my own for about 2 years. And it ended up spreading out. So really the whole model is just going to school districts and businesses, asking them to do collections for us. We check every book for age and condition before it goes back out.
Well, that's, you did a great job summarizing the million things that you and Eileen do. So you founded the organization, as you mentioned, 2,800 books were in your garage. At some point, you opened up the fabulous warehouse that you have, and things continue to grow and grow. A part of what we want to talk about today, because we know a lot of organizations have struggled with this, is at what point did you think about, you know what, I'm ready to take on a bit of a different role, and now I'm going to look for a proper executive director to come in? And when did you start thinking about that transition, and kind of talk about how that played out? And I know that, Eileen has just embraced this role, and I know she works around the clock and is so dedicated, and it's not always easy to find the right person and to find the right dynamic between two really powerful leaders. So how did that work out for the Book Fairies?
So it's very interesting. I think what you have to do when you are a founder is do a lot of introspection and see what you want your role to be in the organization. And as I was going, and like you said, we have a warehouse which is generously donated by Mar Alarm Security. If you need a alarm system, let us know. So, as it really started rolling, and I thought about what I wanted, and anybody who is running a nonprofit or has been in the experience, it's truly running a business. It is a full business. It may have the name nonprofit. I think it's been poorly labeled at times. And when I thought about what was involved with running a business and the day-to-day activities, it just wasn't something that I was interested in doing. I was very happy to be in the warehouse sorting books. I was very happy to be making the connections. And the way that I always described it when I was talking to people, and particularly when I met Eileen, is that I knew the Book Fairies had potential to be here. And I knew with my skill set and my abilities, I could only get it here. And so that's when you really have to think, do I want to keep it here, or do I want to take that step out, remove myself, because I know someone stronger, smarter, faster, more capable can come in and really breathe a lot more life into an organization that I already know is helping so many people.
All right. And then at some point, you stumbled across Eileen, and how lucky were you? So I think many of us knew Eileen from her previous role of executive director at a different organization, but let's bring in Eileen and hear. Eileen, when did you first hear about the Book Fairies needing new leadership? And tell us what happened when you first stepped into the role. I know we talked a bit a week ago or so about just all the processes and transitions and operations that you kind of just took by the reins when you stepped in.
Well, first of all, two people are on this webinar. Melissa Greenberger and Terry Magro are two people that actually connected Amy and I, and Ken Serini. We had three people. I was looking for a new position, and I was very particular about what I had done because I was the co-founder and executive director for the previous organization. And I wanted something that was fulfilling, that was upbeat and positive, and something that I could kind of put my passion towards. And I was looking and I had a few other opportunities, and then Amy and I connected. I think you said I had 3 people give me your name in like the matter of 3 hours, and I knew I had to speak with you. But my first conversation, there was a couple of things that I wanted to know when I spoke with Amy. Being a founder, I know how hard it is to give up your baby or share your baby with someone else, and it has to be done right. And 2 things I asked her, and she answered perfectly well, was who's your competition? And, you know, for lack of better words, I used the word competition. She said, there is none. Otherwise, I would have never started it, which to me meant that she fully altruistically started the book fairies because there was a hole that needed to be filled. So I knew that that was a great part of her character. And the other one was we had a really good conversation about her being a founder and founder syndrome and how that can get in the way of progress with an organization. So she already identified that could be an issue. And that was 2 things that really made me really want to start and join and partner with her. My first thing that I did was just to sit back and analyze what was going on within the organization, figure out where, you know, their strengths were, where their threats were. You know, in my head, I'm doing like a mini SWOT kind of situation and just really watching it roll, trying not to make any changes for really, you know, watch it for 6 months or what have you. And it's an amazing organization. What Amy has done, and I say this with me or not around, what she did as a one-woman show to distribute all of the books. At one point, she was running around in her van, picking up books, delivering books. You know, she's done an amazing job, and the programs run themselves, and it's phenomenal. What I realized is that she just didn't have the time. When you're busy like that, you don't really have the time to get the infrastructure down that you need to sustain an organization. So I looked at infrastructure, the tools that we needed to succeed, and of course, funding. Because the programs themselves were really working, and it wasn't really, you know, for me, it needed help in some areas, but she created amazing programs that really distributed at this point 2.7 million books since 2012, which is amazing. So that's really what I focused on, was funding and infrastructure.
Incredible. I mean, so one of the first things that struck me when we visited the book fairies, Frank and myself, when we had our tour of the warehouse, you know, that in itself is such an engaging thing to invite folks to do. It really shows you, you know, what's happening, what you're really doing, the impact of your work. And it's stuck with us, and I'm sure it's stuck with everyone who's seen the warehouse and all of the hardworking volunteers that were there. One thing in particular that stood out was the incredible list of organizations that you all have relationships with and work with and coordinate with. Can you talk a little bit about all of the partnerships that you have in place and how you manage those? Because I've talked to a lot of smaller organizations who have partnerships, but they kind of ebb and flow, or they start and they kind of stall. And it just seems like with each newsletter, you're adding more partners, you're adding more connections, and just really, like you said, things are running themselves in some ways. I don't know how else it could work given the size of your staff.
I know.
For lack thereof. But talk a little bit about partnerships, and then of course maybe a little bit about the unique partnership you have with Serini, which I think a lot of organizations are kind of looking for that type of unique partnership as well with a for-profit.
Yeah.
I'll grab some of the partnerships, Eileen, if you want to do the Serini piece. Basically, the way that the organization started is we're really a pass-through, and we have zero mission drift. And I think that that's really helped us just stay on the straight and narrow and be able to have all these partnerships. We are books in, books out. We don't do any direct services in that regard. So in order to get the books out to as many people as needed, we had to find all of the partnerships. We grow partnerships on a daily basis. For the past 2 days, we just added 2 more partnerships, which I'm looking forward to, one with United Way Youth Build and another with Long Island Educational Opportunity, LIEOC community. So really, in order for us to get the books out and do the most benefit possible, we have to connect to organizations that are either looking to support their literacy program, but we also found a lot of people use our books as a draw to bring people into their program. So let's say somebody is doing a parenting program and they want to offer free books. And those books are a draw to bring people in to attend their conference or their meeting. And so we really need that avenue of connecting to people who can utilize our books. So of course, anybody who is on this Zoom today, if there's anyone that can use books for their at-risk community, that's really how we do it. We do have particularly special partnership with the special needs community. And as Eileen said, I was a one-man show. So I was sorting the books, I was delivering the books, picking up the books, and I put a flyer in the library saying that I needed volunteers. I figured book lovers, that's where they're going to go, to the library. And it just turns out that somebody from Life's Work, which is a phenomenal organization that serves the special needs community, reached out and said they could provide volunteers. And that one phone call really built this entire second section of the Book Fairies. And now we have a connection with over 40 different organizations, and our partners within the community help with all of our pickups, our deliveries, and when our warehouse is open, hopefully post-COVID time, they're in our warehouse sorting, but building out their job skill development and rounding out their resume. And so I really feel that the Book Fairies could never have become what it has without our special attention to building partnerships with the nonprofits on Long Island.
Thanks for sharing that, Amy. And it's always so interesting to hear the origin of some of this. So you just put a flyer at the library, and that connected you to one hub that it seems to have just spread to all of those organizations. I mean, if anyone hasn't seen the Book Fairies newsletter that lists all the groups that they work with, it's astounding. And then the logistics behind all of it, that just talk a bit about how you set all of that up, or did you lean on your partners' logistical kind of capabilities to really make the books in, books out piece work? And then we'll go to Eileen about the Serini partnership.
In terms of the books in, books out, so that's actually an enormous job that is handled by our very capable program coordinator, Sherry McGrath. And it is a bear of a job, because what she really does is coordinate with these 40 different organizations. She sets out a schedule, and people can come in, choose the jobs that they want to do. They see what the pickup is, what the drop off is. They come to the warehouse. If you ever are in Freeport, we're in the municipal parking lot behind Social Security. Careful if you come in the morning, because we have blocked out almost the entire parking lot with vans. We at any point could have 10, 20 vans lined up waiting their turn to come in, pick up books before they head back out to their drop-off points. So it is a logistical dragon that Sherry has somehow managed to tame, but weather can throw things off. We tell everyone we work with our special needs partners. So at any given time, there could be a situation or a behavior that won't allow the books to be delivered. But fortunately, everybody is patient and really understands that this is a beautiful way for this community to give back to their neighbors. And so the partnerships have really been the bottom structure and foundation of the Book Fairies.
Thanks for sharing that. I mean, that's all I could think about was how big of a job that must be. And it's great that you found the right program coordinator to head that up, because it seems to just be a well-oiled machine with just so many partners to manage and moving pieces. Eileen, so tell us about, in addition to some of the partnerships Amy mentioned, I think we all hear a lot about the unique partnership that you all have forged with Serini and Associates. Can you tell everybody about that?
Yeah, first I want to say, if you go to our Facebook, yesterday I actually came out of my car and there was a van in our driveway, and there was 4 or 5 vans lined up in the parking lot. And I just stepped out and I said, this is amazing. And I just took a quick video and I put it up on our Facebook. So if you want to see the crazy that happens, you can go to our Facebook. Yeah, Serini, Ken Serini and his partners, amazing. I talk about them everywhere I can, because we wanted to find, and this again is a credit to Amy and her conversations with Ken to get him to understand what we were looking for, is finding an organization, a company that wanted to merge profit with purpose and really put part of their business, everyday business. And that's really what they do, is they tie their donations to their billable hours. And it's a win-win for them and a win-win for us, because if he's having a good month, we'll benefit. But if he's not tied to, we're going to give you X number of dollars a month or X dollars a number a year. It's really tied to how well, or hopefully always how well he's doing. But also for me and for anybody, it's a talking point for him when he's talking to his customers. His customers can feel invested in giving back and doing good and finding purpose in engaging with and working with Serini and Associates. So that's really where it's all about profit and purpose and working together. And that's, Ken jumped on it right away and he got it, and he has been a phenomenal partner to us in so many ways.
Eileen, I just wanted to mention, this is Linda, that is the perfect example of social enterprise. What you just said about merging profit with purpose. Serini and Associates, your wonderful partnership, them with the book fairies, is an ideal example of social enterprise in action and working so well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Linda, for mentioning that. I think all of us are just really just uplifted by the communication that we see with, an accounting firm working with, that you're mission-driven organization to achieve even greater results. And it's something that we've talked about in previous roundtables, where we've really just focused on different partnerships and how important those can be if you find the right ones. I mean, it's almost like you and Kellyanne are kind of connected in a special way now. Do you want to talk about that? Because I think folks will benefit from hearing about the background of this partnership and how it works.
Yes, because first of all, and this is another thing that I said to Amy in the beginning, and we do, we have a lot of the same thoughts. And I said, when we check our egos and we work together, we serve more powerfully. And that is how I believe Ken Serini has done this with his entire, organization, including his daughter. And she's just jumped in and has been a gift to us for sure. Last year, and I'm sure we'll get into some unique fundraising stuff that we did, but last year we had to pivot and do a virtual event, and we pulled it off, and it was a month-long virtual event, which was no easy task. But she jumped right in and was huge and helpful because she has that social media background and that marketing background. So yeah, I talk to her pretty much almost every day. She's great.
Yeah, so for everyone listening, Kellyanne is just happens to be Ken's daughter, a staff person at Serini and Associates, now incredibly knowledgeable in marketing and social media. Shout out to Kellyanne, who also helps the Nonprofit Resource Hub. We don't know when she sleeps. But it speaks to a different level of a partnership. It's not just sharing logos. It's not just some visibility. It's true collaboration and true messaging coming together to highlight both organizations, because you're both doing good work. And it's just something very refreshing to see. And I think a lot of us in the nonprofit sector are looking for the right, public, private, nonprofit, for-profit partnerships to embark on. This is one that I think we can all look to as a model.
Well, you were talking about how do we get things done with such a small staff. So if anybody is listening here, I'm the only full-time employee. I have a 30-hour program coordinator, and we just recently hired 2 20-hour part-timers. So if you think about it, last year in the pandemic, it was 453,000 books were distributed on the backs of, 1 full-timer and 3 part-timers. No, that doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens because we have amazing partnerships like that from Serini and Associates, or our special needs partners who even during the pandemic, they stopped for a short time, but they came back in. Some of them came back in pretty quickly. It's that volunteer army, if you will, that really helps us to move all the books, led by #1 volunteer, Amy Zlansky, who's never taken $1 for all of the years of her work. So she really leads by example. So it's a benefit there, listen, certain positions, you need somebody who's being paid for that position, because volunteers can ebb and flow. And if they wake up in the morning and they say, it's a nice beach day, I'm not going to come and sort books. I get it. I would like to be at the beach, but you need somebody who's, that's their job. They're anchored to that job, and they have to come in and they have to do that. And that's what we're gearing up towards, to make sure we have those key positions, that we have funding for those key positions, and that we can get the right people on the bus that are in the right seats.
Well, Eileen, thank you. That is the perfect segue to one of the next pieces we wanted to talk about, which is volunteer engagement. It's another area that can be quite a bear to take on, right? Volunteers are absolutely amazing. And when you have the structure in place and the teams in place and the logistics in place and the management in place, et cetera, it's like Amy said, running a nonprofit is like running a business. Managing volunteers is like managing other people, except like you just said, they could just tell you, I'd rather go to the beach today, and that's actually where I'm going to go, the beach. So, you could fire me, or actually, no, you can't, because I'm a volunteer. So it's this formula that when you get it right, it's incredible, because people are giving their time because they're so connected to what you do. How have you all been able to nurture so many different volunteers over the years, where you have such a reliable volunteer base? How many volunteers do you have? Can you start off by saying that, and then tell us a bit about the structure?
We were actually looking at the numbers, including the special needs. So for the special needs, we offer 180 opportunities a week. That's the individuals that are in the vans, that are with their their sponsors and what have you. And then we have the people who are in the warehouse, and then we have people who are doing stuff on the back end with social media. I think we said it was about 1,200 a year on and off. And we don't have again, we don't have somebody who's dedicated to volunteers. We kind of, Sherry, the hamster, she's the one that keeps the hamster wheel going. But Amy, I think what Amy did in the very beginning, which I liked when I came in and I saw, was that she was very laid back, and she said, you can come when you want, come when you don't, because the warehouse was always full. And I don't know, Amy, if that was always the way, but that was the way when I got there, and we never had a lack really of volunteers. Now we struggle because we have to control it because of CDC. So where we could have had 25, 30 people in our warehouse before, I can have 7. So COVID has created a lot of problems in a lot of ways, challenges for us, but that's been one of them, because we have to make sure that we have the right people there, because we need to be as efficient as possible. So has it always been that way, Amy?
So with the volunteers, I had recently had 2 parents that had retired, and they just wanted to do things when they wanted to do things, and they wanted to take off time when they wanted to take off time. I also had a number of court-ordered people who needed to come in and give certain numbers of time. And I also wanted to open up to community service for kids and make sure that families could volunteer together. And there's just, everyone is very fickle with their time because there are so many other priorities that are pulling them. And so it was important to me to not put any time limits on how long they needed to be in the warehouse. They didn't have to pre-register, and they could come in and get trained that day. It took about 10 to 15 minutes, and they could jump in and get started. So I did specifically focus on a model that did not have a particular structure, which is good and bad. When you do have a structure, you get a little bit more solid volunteers who are coming on a regular basis. They learn what you're doing, and you start working in tandem. When you keep it open to everybody, there were times where we could have 70 people in the warehouse. And can you imagine how much we could get done with 70 people? It was fantastic. So there is a balancing act, but I have found from the bulk of people that are volunteering with us, we're only open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 3. Most people that can volunteer during that time are retired individuals, and they didn't want to feel tied to a job or tied to hours. And then the last thing is just making sure that recognizing these were volunteers and making sure that they were taking on the jobs that they wanted. So it's a balancing act in the warehouse. I know this person only likes to sort picture books. This one only likes to pack. This one doesn't like putting boxes together. And so we really under the wire, do a lot of juggling to keep our volunteers as happy as possible and doing only the jobs that they want to do, which just means it's back-ended on our end. But without the volunteers, we wouldn't be anywhere. So we work hard to keep them happy.
Yeah.
That is just incredible. I think, I don't know if everyone heard this, 180 opportunities per week.
For the special needs individuals, that's not including anybody that's in our warehouse.
Wow.
So, on any day we could be having, it could be 15 vans coming and go, like 15 deliveries on every day. And that's all volunteer. It's a well-oiled machine, and kudos to Amy. That's all I have to say.
Well, Amy, I think just because you have this special thing within you to do some of this, there's no time limits, no pre-registration, on the spot training. Those are best practices, in terms of getting people in the door without a barrier. When I worked at AARP, we would kind of say, come one, come all to an information session, and on the spot, you could sign up and join the team. You just want to make it easy for people. And I think a lot of organizations tend to overthink or, feel like, and in some cases you have to be more careful if there's privacy concerns or different things, but the easier you can make it for people to join your cause, right, the more likely you're able to get more people in the door. And then to continue to keep them engaged is another challenge, which it seems like you all have figured out very well. I also wanted to ask about, do you do any, or how do you make your volunteers feel special? And we used to call that volunteer recognition. Do you have any specific ways that you do that, or is it just kind of thank yous over the course of the year?
So there's a couple things with that. With the special needs volunteers, it was important to make sure that they were acknowledged. And what we had set up, obviously pre-COVID, they were coming on a regular basis to pick up books and deliver books, and they really didn't have the opportunity to take books. And so we set up volunteer appreciation days where they could come into our warehouse and shop for books. And so that was a huge draw. And it was also a way for us to just show how much they were appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
They would start making requests. This one wanted a truck book. This one wanted a coloring book. And so people knew, I can't take books now, but in another month or two, it's going to be my time to take the books. We always, for the different holidays, Eileen is excellent about putting out baskets of food. And last time she found a ton of hand sanitizers that she put out around Christmas time. So you're right. It is always a constant battle, especially when we have such limited resources, that as much as we would love to hold a volunteer appreciation event, because we're on a shoestring at that point, we really have to look outside and find other ways to show people are appreciated. Eileen, on my calendar that's tied into the book fairies, she puts in every volunteer's birthday. And so people get notes for birthdays. We just try and be very cognizant. If somebody has a surgery, I know we send letters. Eileen, you could talk to that, but I think you do an excellent job of really keeping people engaged.
Oh, thank you. I think it's important, and that was part of the infrastructure that I created when I first came, because everything was on spreadsheets. So, and lots of business cards. I had lots of piles of business cards. So I got Salesforce, which was free for nonprofits for 10 users. And one of the first things I did was try to get all of our volunteers into our database, and I include their birthday. I don't need to know their year, but I include their birthday. So this way, if they're in the warehouse on or around their birthday, maybe we could do something for them. So just engaging in their everyday, asking them how they're doing, getting to know, like if somebody tells me their kids' names or what they're doing, I might put it in their notes in their Salesforce so that we can pay attention to them if something's coming up. They're our most valuable resource. Without our volunteers and our donors, and Amy mentioned Marlon, our warehouse is donated to us. That is huge. So there's so much of donated in-kind services, volunteer time and effort that are helping the wheels on the Book Fairies bus, to go along. So they're so valuable, and I'm trying every way I can within the time that I have to find ways to acknowledge them and make them feel special.
That's wonderful to hear. I mean, it really does, that personal relationship goes so far. And I think other organizations who are listening who also are not able to have a proper volunteer recognition event, it just goes to show you you don't need to do that. Volunteers can feel special and feel their value in many other ways. Obviously, you guys are doing that well, or they wouldn't all be continually coming back to help. So let's shift now. And by the way, I'm seeing some good chats come in. So please feel free to submit a question through the chat or chime in. We've got another good 15 minutes here, which is great. But we haven't even gotten to a big topic that I'm excited to talk about with Amy and Eileen, which is all of the innovative fundraising and awareness building that they have done. Their social media is consistently pushing out stories, engaging content about different books people are reading, nostalgic mentions of books we can all remember from our childhood. And on top of that, they entered a Guinness book competition. Tell me about that. And had Billy Baldwin hosting one of their fundraising endeavors. So talk about kind of how you approach your fundraising strategy, given your small team and small budget, and kind of how you go about setting goals in that regard.
Well, that was one of the things when I first came in, was I realized and Amy and I, we're very honest with each other. So I'm not talking bad. The programs themselves were like just on trajectory, but the infrastructure, the funding, the stuff that would keep that, like the pylons that would keep the bridge going, were she wasn't able to focus. They weren't there because she couldn't, you're one person, how can you focus on those things? So I realized that funding was, we really needed to focus on funding. But we didn't have the bandwidth. We didn't have, people to do a gala. We didn't have that kind of support. So we were talking one day, and Amy, you can tell them your bucket list. You came to me and said, I have a bucket list thing, and if you want to tell them about it.
So I've always wanted to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. Ever since I was little, those books are amazing. Looking through all of them, I'm sure most of you have gone through those. And so with my family, we tried participating in so many different things, from biggest Girl Scout cookie dunking to ties donated. And so one of my things was, how can I do this with books? And I realized that I could do the longest book chain when I looked at what different book options were really feasible for us. Longest book chain was something we could easily do. And the best part about it is, if I did it in a high need district, that we could leave all of the books there for the school to benefit from. Wyandanch was the first school that I donated to. Wyandanch has a beautiful setup because they have their 2 elementary schools are connected to one another, so you don't have to walk outside. And I brought the idea to Eileen of, hey, wouldn't this be fun?
30,000 books, 30,000 books.
Eileen then saw an opportunity as a funding source, and that was our first big fundraiser, which you can talk about how you turned it into that, but it was amazingly successful.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity because I knew we could do it virtually, like we could do a peer-to-peer fundraising platform. So I just needed to secure the platform itself that we would be able to utilize, and that it wouldn't require us getting, going out and getting a gala. I just knew we didn't have the bandwidth to do something, a golf. Everybody has lots of ideas, but I'm for the biggest bang for your buck with the least amount of effort, especially with our limited resources. So we got a peer-to-peer fundraising platform. We went right out. It was great for the sponsors because they were able to get sponsorship virtually. We had sponsors the day of the event. We had all of their logos were on the schools. We had media attention for it. So I knew we'd get media. I knew that because it was, we also planned it on Guinness World Record Day, which was no easy feat because it was the middle of the week and there was some issues with it. But I knew that because it was Guinness World Record Day, I had to keep it on that day because that would get more tread with the media, and that would be a bigger benefit for our sponsors and our awareness in general. So we raised $65,000 pretty quickly. And most importantly, I would say it had secondary and tertiary benefits, because the next day, Amy and I, we lined up all these books and we did very well fundraising, but Amy and I got to go the next day and they were lined up. If you haven't seen the video, I hope you go to our website or YouTube and look for it, because the entire halls were lined with books. And Amy and I got, this is where we get paid and joy. Watched the kids come in, and it was like Christmas morning, and the teachers, I could cry right now talking about it. They came in, they were like, kids they were engulfing the books. They were getting them for their moms and their aunts. And it was so many benefits to it. But fundraising is important, and you need to come up with very unique, different ways to engage. And I think sponsors like that as well, because it was different and something to sink their teeth in.
And so because of that, and because we really wanted to stay away from those large events, we had to look to other things. And that's where Ken Serini really jumped in during the pandemic and pushed us to come up with a virtual fundraising idea. And so he was the starting factor behind this Read-A-Thon that we have coming up, which Eileen can talk about. But I really do think in the time of a pandemic, you have to be able to do a quick switch at the drop of a dime. And what once worked, you have to be able to put that to bed and look at whatever the next opportunity is that will allow you to continue with your mission. And that's why we now have the virtual Read-A-Thon, which will be our largest fundraiser on a yearly event now.
Eileen, do you want to talk more about the Read-A-Thon? I think everyone would benefit from hearing how you were able to pivot during the pandemic and come up with a virtual event that was so engaging. And I don't think any of us could have missed it if we've been on social media.
Yeah, it was, we pulled that off in 3 weeks. Another, challenge, but we did it. What we did was try to find ways to keep our mission at the forefront, which is literacy and getting books in the hands of kids and adults that don't have access to them, and going to the tools that help us best, which are authors and celebrities that could help us to raise awareness for our mission, and find ways that virtually sponsors would feel that they were benefiting from and could engage in. And so we did a month-long event where we had authors, celebrity readers come in and do Facebook Lives, which were free to everybody on our Facebook. But it was something that was engaging and got people involved and enabled them to feel like they were part of something that was unique and really helping to change the life of a child. So what we did is we did the Facebook Lives. We had a trivia night, which, listen, you tried it, it failed. Not really many people participated, and we didn't have a lot of tread on it. So we didn't make money on the trivia night, but it was a fun night. Ken was the MC. He was funny, so that worked. But the sponsors really liked it. And what we tried to do is, for the Facebook Lives, if I had larger sponsors, I offered them the opportunity to go in and introduce that reader. For instance, I think it was Investors Bank introduced Willie and Christina Geist. And they felt that was a really powerful visual for them. But not only that, it lives in perpetuity. So what we did afterwards is we branded, if you will, the videos so that they live on our website, on our YouTube. If you look at the YouTube, it doesn't have a lot of likes or views, because we put them up. Ken Serini's employee branded them for us. So it took her, she's working full time. It took her a little bit longer than we had anticipated. But this year, they'll be branded right away. But the views we had live, some of them were 2,000, 3,000 at a time. So it was a good thing. It was a good benefit. The Classy platform that we use for the peer-to-peer fundraising, the logos, the sponsor logos are on there. So anybody who goes to create a page is going to see who's sponsoring us. So we're just constantly trying to give visibility to our sponsors in a virtual way where they're not, your logo is not behind a big speaker on a stage. How are we doing that? So we're always trying to come up with creative ways. This year we might have depending on who we're able to get, have one of the celebrity authors or readers do a social media takeover, and then let them take over our social media pages and try and get some tread that way. So we're always trying to figure out how to alter, how to pivot, and come up with unique, different ways to, with our limited resources. It's always every day I say I'm borrowing from Peter to pay Paul here. I'm just trying to figure out how to make it work.
Hey, Eileen and Christine and Amy, can I jump in? It's Tommy.
Mhm.
So
I have one last question, Tommy.
yeah,
before
no, I'm not stopping you. Something came to me while you were talking, and I think I have to look around, but I think Milda's still here. If I've ever seen a potential for collaboration, it's between these two organizations. So maybe you guys will probably figure that out before I did, but please connect Milda and the folks over at the Book Fairies. Please make something happen there, because she's got the authors, and you got the books.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks. Just how to say it, how to put it out there.
Okay.
Back to you, Christine.
Well, I saved a little bit. I have a lot more than one question, but I wanted to open it up for those folks who are listening. Amy and Eileen, if over the years, what would you say the biggest challenge that you've encountered, or if you could share? You mentioned something didn't work out. What's a failure that you've learned from, and how have you overcome that over the years? It just sounds like you've been thinking out of the box and been willing to jump in and try new things. And I think a lot of organizations struggle with just taking a risk and jumping in and trying something different. Like the social media takeover sounds like so much fun. And again, another way that all of us will be aware of what you're doing and want to be engaged. So would you be willing to share something that comes to mind?
Well, first I want to say Amy and I are two totally different people. Amy, she said she started and she was like, let's just run. And I am a little bit more like, let's stop and let's sit and let's think about it. So I think that's why we really, and there's like that mutual respect. Being a founder, I am so appreciative and respect everything that she's done. So we get along well, but she's always willing to try new things. Let's try new things. And we've tried some things over the last 2 years, whether it be selling books or, scanning books, different types of things, but you have to, we've tried it and we just realized we don't have the bandwidth for it. So while it might be a failure today, it might not be a failure in 2 years, whatever the case may be. It's Amy's more of a, let's try it. And I'm like, let's figure it out kind of girl. Right.
Yeah. And I think that's why I needed it. Just talking about the transition from founder to an executive director, you really need to look at what the organization is lacking and needs, and then find somebody who has that skill set. My board president teases me all the time that I like going for the shiny objects. So I get an idea and I want to run with it. I get another idea and I want to run with that. And that is what allowed the Book Fairies to grow so fast in such a short amount of time, because I would try everything and anything. And if it didn't work, I would stop it and move on to something else. And then, as Eileen was saying, because I was so much about trying all of these great ideas, I really had no interest in building any of the foundation. To me, I didn't want to take that kind of time when I was still off and running. And so when you're looking to transition out of the founder role and have somebody come in and take your place, and they need to be able to fill those roles. So Eileen's strength really is building that foundational sense. And she has done a good job of holding me back while still being able to listen to ideas. I think something that has helped us a lot is she found something called Trello, which is just a project management board. I think it's great for so many different, whether it's a business, a nonprofit, it's just a way that people can work together. So instead of me peppering Eileen with 1,000 emails a week of all my brand new ideas that I think are just absolutely the cat's meow, I now have a platform where I feel like I can load all of my ideas into, and then we can stop, take time, look at the ideas, see what will work, what won't work. But I feel like I'm being heard as a founder, and she feels like she has a little bit more control to not have to chase after everything that I'm doing, but really say, that's a great idea, that's going to work in a year. that's a great idea, we can do that now, or that's never going to happen. You know, put that one to bed and let's move on. And so I think if I had hired somebody who was very much like me, the book fairies would eventually crumble and fall, because we would not have had somebody building that infrastructure that Eileen is now working on.
And we have our board chair is really good with both of us. And he has a thing, it's called forming, storming, norming, and performing. And he's been saying to us for 2 years that we've been together, and we're like, oh. And everything is really just, you know, when we were forming, it was nice, it was good. Then we had a little bit of a storming period, you know, and now it's like norming, and we can't wait to perform, like really just take it and blow it out. And we see it in each other, and we're very candid with each other. And I think communication and openness and checking both of our egos at the door is so important, because if it's not, you know, it wouldn't work.
Can I just add something? Because I am so in awe of your organization. When I spoke last week, I was poking around at a lot of the other organizations. And when I came across Book Fairies, I thought, oh God, this is going to be kind of hokey, and, you know, and it was so professional and so modern. And that you had a great headline, which is Books for All, which is just embedded in my mind, because it's short, it says what it is. And the first thing you see on the page is like happy kids with energy. The photo has so much energy, it almost jumps off the page. And I just want to say, talk a lot about logistics, and your partnership is brilliant, where you balance each other perfectly. And I see like so many, you're not afraid to take a chance, try new things. You know, it doesn't work, you try something else. And it's very creative, and it's what I love about it. I'm a brand person, so it's always on brand. You know how to, I don't know if you do it consciously or whatever, but whatever you do, it's got this one focus, and it always is so consistent. And I think that you don't talk about that as much. You're really talking about operations, all that matters. But for me, I think it's the way you present yourself. So I'm so impressed. And I think you guys are just doing an amazing job. And I'm not surprised you're successful.
Thank you so much.
If I can add to that, Amy and Eileen, at another networking, virtual meeting like this, the Book Fairies received a great shout out for your website. And the person commented also that it's so simple, Books for All. You're sharing
that
not
was Carmen. That was Carmen.
Oh, that's right. It was Carmen. It was so wonderful. And
I didn't read it. I wish I'd written it. That's how good it is.
And it's so direct. You shared your social impact, and it was just, that's what I took away, Carmen, from your program. I'm sorry I didn't remember it was you, but it was such because you just do such a great job on your website. It's so clear. Books for All. Anyone who needs them, they're there. And that was amazing. So you guys deserve every recognition that you get, and every growth that you get.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're actually looking to do a website redesign. So it's interesting. We definitely know what to keep, and we are just trying to do that redesign to make it a smoother, easier process for people that are looking on to get information from us.
Well, Amy and Eileen, thank you so much. I think Tommy's giving me the signal that we're almost up on our time. I'm sure people will have follow-up questions. And Carmen, thanks for chiming in, because that's how I feel about Amy and Eileen. There's so many best practices and refreshing approaches to the work that they take on, whether you said consciously or unconsciously. You know, Amy, you made the point, zero mission drift. A lot of organizations are on a path on their mission, and then something comes along and suddenly things are over here or over there, and it makes it harder to follow the story and harder to follow the achievements and stay connected. And you all have stayed true to that, and that is not an easy thing to do. And just this refreshing approach to new ideas and jumping in. I hope everyone listening, hope this brightened our mornings to kind of think about, how can my organization, you guys have 1.5 staff maybe, and hundreds of volunteers. Hopefully all of us can think, how could we do things a little bit differently? Because look what the Book Fairies is doing, whether it's with partnerships or volunteers or all of these different things. So thank you for for being our speakers this morning, and I hope that everyone enjoyed it. And I'll let Amy or Eileen say a couple of closing comments before Tommy jumps back in.
I think the biggest thing is just to thank you guys for what you do. I really tried to do everything on my own because that's just the easiest for me. And after the first year or two, and I realized that I needed the support, my business really, or the book fairs really started to grow once I started connecting and networking. And between Christine and Tommy, you can't find better role models to go after. So I think going to these things, it always recharges me and sparks new ideas and new concepts that I hadn't thought of. So thank you guys for giving us this opportunity. And now that I have free time on my hands, because Eileen's doing all the heavy lifting, feel free to reach out to me anytime you want. I'm always happy to chat with you guys.
Well, thank
He's not going anywhere. Don't listen.
But before I bring it to a close, John Dibiazzi, I'm going to give you 45 seconds to tell me what you wanted to tell us.
Okay. Governor Cuomo wants to cut 20% from the OPWDD budget. That's going to affect lives. The system has been operating on a shoestring for lots of years. I think that it's really important, and I told you DD is near and dear to my heart. I think it's really important for everybody on this call and everybody we know to contact the governor's office and our legislators and tell them that this cannot happen because people are going to really be affected negatively.
Thank you, John.
John, send us a little blurb so we can include it in our follow-up.
Please,
It's a really important point.
Yeah, please do, John. So OPWD, the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities, persons probably with developmental disabilities. I think I got that wrong. But listen, thank you for being here. I want to get everybody out. I've made this promise. Christine and I have made this promise this year to get people out so you can make it to your 10 o'clock, grab more coffee, refill, do what you got to do. But thank you, Christine, for being a great partner in this. Thank you, Eileen and Amy. Thank you, Adele and Carmen and Melissa and John and Jennifer and Rebecca, Terry, Michelle, Amy, Ian with the baby, with the child, the whole thing, Matt Thompson, Jen Capazza, Milda, Beth, Tammy, Linda, Jerry Wade, Marilyn Tickton, and Taina. Thanks for being here. Check out the podcast when you can. I'm your boy, Tommy D, the Nonprofit Sector Connector. I'll see you soon.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See y'all.